Welcome back, everybody, to the Longevity Lab. I'm your host, Juliet,
And I'm your co-host, Mackie.
and we also have little Miss Martha Cat on my lap. Mackie's putting the microphone up to her to see if you can hear her purring away.
She's purring. We couldn't get rid of her.
She insists on being in like every podcast. If you watch the YouTube, she's pretty much on every single one.
She loves the podcast.
She really does. It's like she knows when we're about to record, and she comes in and stakes out her spot. And today she was staking out my lap.
Nice.
So my legs are going to fall asleep any moment now. And it's going to suck for me. But it's okay because Martha's comfortable.
You know the
and
rules. Once they find a spot,
You don't move.
you can't move.
Yeah, you just let them be comfortable and relax. And then you have to be suffering with your knee bent awkwardly or your foot falling asleep. And yeah, she's just taking a bath on me like I am just a piece of furniture.
On camera, no less.
That's all right. Yeah, you go, girl. Don't lift your leg and show everybody your goodies, okay? Yeah, if you're not watching this on YouTube, then you are not seeing any of this. But just so you guys know, if you listen, we have a YouTube that you can watch this at any point. So head over to our YouTube channel, and we have other videos on there as well. It's under the channel Ultra Life Co., but you'll see the Longevity Lab podcast all on there.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to watch the people that you're listening to sometimes.
I like it. I pretty much, well, no, that's not true because I run so much and listen to podcasts when I'm running, but that's pretty much all of my content is podcasts. So if I'm not listening to one, I'll be watching other podcasts while I'm just watching TV or watching my phone. A lot of podcast consumption over here.
Yeah.
It's just interviews. It's just people talking.
Right, and you get to pick up on subtle cues of how they might be looking at each other or the look on their face. There's all their body language.
How tired I look.
Yeah, there's all different things that you can find out.
Woke up from a nap. I was like, oh man, I'm going to look tired on this podcast. I was just sleeping.
But you were inspired. You woke up, you're like, let's do a podcast.
Well, no, I was inspired on the run that we did earlier, not during my sleep. Remember, I stopped in the middle of the run to tell you that?
I don't think you did.
No, that was a different inspiration. On the run, I was saying how I feel like we could have a clothing line with the name Ultra Life, and we could have really cool
merch
for like running apparel, but with shirts that say like cool shit on it that's like motivating, but not cheesy, but cool.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, it is a fine line because I don't really love shirts that just like say things on them that aren't really like, it has to be niche in a way.
Yeah.
And they have to fit well and look good. But I just thought like Ultra Life is a cool clothing brand name. So stay tuned, everybody. Maybe we create some merch and see how it goes. But I just stopped my run to be like, Mackie, I think we could create merch. He's like, okay, keep going. We're like 1 mile in.
Note down any sayings that you come up with that you want to put on a t-shirt.
I had none. None came to me. Just that we could sit down and come up with some. So I guess maybe I did. Yeah, in the nap, I did say, get the microphones out.
Get the microphones out. We got to record.
That's funny.
So what is your big inspiration? What do you want to share with the people?
Well, I kind of alluded to this on our last episode where I said I wanted to make a post about the scale and how we really have to understand, the weight, so to speak, of the scale, and how to not put so much emphasis on it when we're, even if we have a weight loss goal, and have a little more understanding around the why. Why should we not care about it as much? Just knowing all of the intricacies of your weight. And I was saying that I have healed my relationship with the scale and food, even to another level that I had prior with training for these events that I've been doing and really stepping more into my athleticism.
Right.
And although I consider myself an athlete for a very long time, me training for something and getting way more scientific about how to get there has helped my understanding more, and it has helped me let go of certain things and have a deeper understanding and a real connection to why I can't care if I step on a scale and it's 5 pounds up or it's 5 pounds down.
Yeah, as we've been digging into the science of this sort of extreme performance up at the higher end of the endurance scale, we've really had to look at look beyond what we've looked at in the past in terms of hydration, your sweat rate, your carb intake, all the different things that go into all this, and we're looking at this in a very different way than we have in the past.
And I'm also kind of kicking myself for doing some of these things now when I could have helped myself a lot in the past and could have felt a lot better in workouts. And I'm making a lot of connections to why I felt certain ways for years. Um, you know, many people work out just recreationally and they don't really think that they need to fuel themselves in a certain way or hydrate in a certain way so that they can have good performance, because I don't think about it being a performance. And I don't think every
Right.
workout should be thought of as like this is a performance. But when I'm saying performance, it's like I'm saying it loosely as just how you're going to feel in that training session. How is it going to go, right?
Right.
I think back to when I taught so many indoor cycling classes, sometimes up to 10 per week. Sometimes I would do a double where it would be 90 minutes or 2 hours of cycling on the bike. And then I would feel shaky. Sometimes I would have like kind of panic feeling, anxiety, and just thinking about it, I'm like, well, I was so depleted. I didn't think about my sodium intake at all. I didn't think about having carbohydrates on the bike. I wasn't taking in any fuel during the ride because workout classes are not a race,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not it's not an event, it's just a class. But I think that understanding some of these things can be really helpful for anybody out there who is doing pretty intense stuff, or I know a lot of people are training for maybe high rocks is something, your gym is doing. And even though that's a fun fitness competition, I think it's useful to learn a little bit about how to properly fuel your body and hydrate your body and just understanding the things that can happen with different elements like the weather, right? When you're working out and it's hotter out or you live in humidity
Yes.
versus we're in a dry climate. And sometimes that masks certain things like being in the dry climate. I don't even know how much I sweat oftentimes because my sweat is drying and I'm
Yeah.
not seeing it versus if I go back to Philadelphia and I work out, I'm like, "Oh my
You're
god,
sweating so
the
much.
puddles of sweat,"
Yeah.
right? Um, it's interesting to just kinda pay attention to those things and then to understand why you might be feeling not at your peak sometimes and that could be related to X, Y, and Z.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I've had a very complicated relationship with my body and with food for the majority of my life. It took me a very long time to heal that relationship and feel very free from diet culture or, you know, hating on myself. And I don't think any of those things fully go away, especially when we're still constantly being indoctrinated into what we're supposed to look like, what's deemed as a worthy physique, even though that changes over the years. Being in the fitness industry has not helped that for me.
Yeah.
Uh, it at times has been really challenging for me to love myself, and I am a work in progress with this, and so it's been cool to see it changing again.
Yeah, and I think there is a shift in culture. I mean, if you look at one thing I realized or learned recently was that even in the high performance track and field world, endurance world, triathlon world, 10 years ago, the thinking around fueling during your workouts was always, well, what's the minimum amount I can take in and still be able to perform? Versus now, the thinking has shifted more towards abundance and saying, how much can I possibly take in? So that way I can be feeling my absolute best as opposed to what's the least I can take. So I think that's a really interesting shift. And that's only happened over the course of the last 5, 10 years. So for it to be happening in that world where performance is everything, it's a real sign of the times, I think.
But performance was also very linked to physique as well back then,
Well, not in the
right?
endurance world, not in
In track
triathlon.
in track though, and
Yes.
even yeah, and in endurance, if you think about even in like Tour de France, those guys are trying to be the lightest they can be, but the most powerful they can be.
Right, power to
So,
weight ratio. Yeah.
but I think what you're saying is that that is a little bit of outdated thinking, that being
Yes.
your thinnest is gonna equate to you being your fastest. And I think a lot of people get into that trap when they start wanting to train for something, but they also want to lose weight because they think they'll be faster.
Right.
And that was something that even I was like, "Do I need to lose weight if I'm gonna be a better endurance athlete? Like, am I too heavy for this? Am I, just slow because of how much I weigh?" Um, but we're finding now that that is not the case. It's certainly I don't wanna dismiss, like, the science of power to weight ratio, like, that is a
Sure,
real
that makes
thing, right?
sense. Yes.
Um, but this is my body, and for me to try and lose weight would be at the expense of losing power currently. It would actually set
Right.
me back, and then I would have to kinda, like, start from that weight and build myself back up because I would lose strength and I would.
And at risk of being undernourished,
Yes.
which is another thing, especially for us mere mortals who we're doing this for fun, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and trying to challenge ourselves and pushing our limits, but not because it's a job, it's because it's what we like to do as a fun thing.
Mhm.
You want to be able to wake up the day after your race or the day after your event and feel good.
Yeah.
You don't want to be totally wrecked from it in more ways than one. Just yes, from the physical piece of it, but also you don't want to come out of it injured. You don't want to come out of it with aches and pains that are unnecessary.
Yeah, and being in a constant caloric deficit because 'cause you're trying to lose weight is really limiting your performance.
Yeah.
And when I say performance, again, it's just how you feel in a training session or it could be in an event. But there's, a woman that I follow named Ali Ostrander, who I love. She has a wonderful YouTube channel, and she was chasing her dreams to the Olympics. She made it to the Olympic trials, in the steeplechase, and she has a really powerful story about overcoming an eating disorder and how she had to pull out of her training, and address this. She had to do, I believe, like, I don't know if it was inpatient, but definitely outpatient services to support her and trying to overcome her eating disorder and get healthy because she couldn't train anymore. She was getting so many injuries. And we see that especially in endurance and in running, where people will constantly get stress fractures or
Yeah.
tendon issues and they just can't seem to
Injury
overcome.
after injury,
Yeah, like
right?
these
I
chronic
think it's a
things.
sign.
Yeah. There's a sign that something's going in the body and it's not, overuse is something that I think is thrown around as sort of a catch-all. Like, oh, you must have an overuse injury, but a lot of times it's a low energy availability issue where
Right.
somebody is not getting enough nutrition to then recover them and help them be strong.
Yeah, you need the raw materials, the protein, the collagen, the
The
nutrients, the
carbs.
vitamins,
Yeah.
the carbs,
Mhm.
so that way your body can rebuild.
Absolutely. So, she was restricting that for so many years and she's been so open and honest. She has a YouTube channel talking about how she even would share with her followers, like, here's what I eat in a day. And it was like really great information, but she wasn't actually eating all of that in a day.
Yeah, she was lying.
She was eating some of it, right? But
Yeah.
not all of it and restricting still. And, it can be a very shameful thing. And you don't want the world to see that. You're hiding that part of you. You wanna look like this badass, strong athlete influencing women to eat strong and be strong, right? And
Right.
she came out with a video, you know, showing an older video of her saying, "Hey guys, I lied. Like, this is what I told you I ate." And she's like, "To be fair, like, this was good information I was giving you." It's not like she was showing a restrictive day of eating,
Yeah.
but she's like, "But behind closed doors, I wasn't actually eating these foods." So
Yeah.
just also know that, like, what we see online isn't, like, always what's
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
especially with influencers in beauty, in fitness. It's very complicated, what people share. But so it's great. I've been, loving her content because she is so open and honest about everything now, and, um, so long story short, she came out of that experience of, treatment and started training again and made it to another Olympic trials, but this time around as a healthy, strong athlete who is really fueling her body and not restricting And it was a cool thing to be like, "Here's my comeback, and I'm stronger than ever." She had her personal best faster than ever. So she was saying, like, I really thought that in order for me to get faster, I had to be thinner. Here I am, stronger, not thinner,
Yeah.
and I am now faster. So it's really cool to see that.
What was the story of the Tour de France rider who gained 40 pounds?
Yeah, they're calling this, I don't know his name, but King of the Mountain. He purposely gained 40 pounds in order to feel stronger and healthier and be able to perform better, and he is. And it's really kind of bumping up against that idea of, like, we need to be so thin to be fast and powerful, but it's not necessarily always the truth.
Right, your body type might dictate
Mhm.
that you hold more muscle, you hold more weight in a certain areas that, you know, if you were to take away that weight in certain areas, it's at a detriment to the strength and power and resilience that you'd have otherwise.
Yeah, there was another rider who kept insisting on wanting to lose, like, a kilogram of weight, and, it the coaches were like, "No, you can't lose," and he just kept wanting to, thinking, like, that would make him better. Well, he ended up losing it, and his performance went way down.
Wow.
So,
1 kilogram, and that's not that much weight.
yeah, 2.2 pounds. Yeah, it's not that much weight at all. But this just shows you, this obsession that sometimes we can have around our weight, and the number on the scale isn't really indicative of much.
Right.
It's an ever-changing number, and especially on the day to day, I think it's so important to, know the facts around it. And I've been having a direct experience with it as I'm training, because I've had to really be mindful of my fluid intake, my sodium intake. Carbohydrates are like life right now for me. And what you can see, I'm just going to give you guys a couple examples of how much this stuff can affect the scale, and why we really just have to see it as a big range
Yeah.
and not get into the nitty-gritty obsessing over, like, 1 pound, half a pound, that you're really setting yourself up for disappointment there. Because let me tell you that yesterday I had to do a test where I weighed myself, and, anyone can do this test if you're curious on how much water you lose when you exercise, which is it
Sweat.
or sweat, yep, from sweating, because it's important to know what you have to put back into your body so that you can feel properly hydrated and you can really perform feeling better. And I think for a lot of us runners and, cyclists, like, really need to think about this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people sweat a lot more than others, and some people sweat more salt than others.
Mhm.
So there's a huge range. Like you could sweat a lot of liquid, but be a low salt sweater and sweat the same amount of salt out and need the same amount of sodium than somebody who's a high salt sweater, but they don't sweat that much. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting to think about these different variables. And this is a fairly new science as well, where people are getting into these what they call sweat tests, where looking at how much sodium are you sweating out in any given workout.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the sweat test, which I'm not sure if you can do it at home. I don't know if there's at-home kits for this, but you can go online and just search, sweat tests, and you can see where in your local area you can get one done. We got ours done at a cycling shop, that sells, like, performance nutrition and bikes, and they did our sweat test for us. But it doesn't change from the time that you're born till the
Yeah.
time that you die. So your sodium loss is gonna be the same from infancy to adulthood, which is
Yeah.
really, really cool. So it's not something that's, like, going to change over the time of your life. Once you know it, you know it.
What I really find interesting about it is for years I've had issues where after my long run I just feel tired. And
Mhm.
I feel no matter how much water I drink, it's not helping me feel hydrated again. No matter how much food I eat, I still feel tired for the rest of the day. So for years I was, why can't I feel better after these runs? It wasn't, quote unquote that hard of a run, but I just feel totally wiped out. I'm just sitting here staring at the wall for hours. And what I've learned and what I've realized is that it's sodium that I've been sweating out. And even in the electrolyte drinks that I have, it's only replenishing about half the amount of sodium that I'm actually sweating out in some of these long runs. So I'm totally underdoing it when it comes to salt.
Yeah, and then so since you've been increasing it, do you feel more energized now after
Well,
your running?
it's only been a week since we got tested, so I
And then
haven't.
we got sick,
Yeah, then
so
we got sick afterwards. So I haven't really had an opportunity to do it on a long run, but this weekend I'm gonna try it out for the first time. And I was so my drinks were about half of what I'm actually sweating out. So we'll see.
yeah, I'm excited for you to start bouncing off the walls
Yeah.
after your long runs. And also, you always talk about runner's stomach. Sometimes you
Yes.
get that, where you just feel like your GI system is not working very well after you typically do harder efforts.
Right.
So I think that also
I think
oftentimes
that
has to
has
do
something
with
to do with it, yeah.
sodium. Yeah.
Because if you don't have sodium in your liquid that you're drinking, you might not be able to absorb that water. Even if you're drinking water, it doesn't necessarily get absorbed.
Yeah. And then
So,
for me, I pee like a racehorse. I drink a lot of water. I start my day, I drink 32 ounces of water just habitually. I've always just drank a lot of water. But I'm someone who will pee like 5 times in a 1 hour run. And it's like excessive and ridiculous. And so that's also a part of the sodium. If you're not getting enough salt, you're not actually absorbing the water. So my body is just excreting it. So I'm excited to not have to be interrupted a million times in my run if I increase my sodium now, knowing how much I release, which is about 880 milligrams per liter. So knowing that that's how much salt I need per liter, I then had to figure out, well, how much water am I actually losing per hour, right?
right.
Because that's liter per hour. They're saying 880 milligrams of sodium. So now, is it a liter per hour? Is it more than that? So yesterday, before I ran, I weighed myself naked. You got to do it naked because, think about how heavy water is. So if you have your wet clothes on
Right.
after, so you need to make sure you're naked before and after I weigh myself. I went on my hour-long run, exactly 1 hour, and then I weighed myself after, and then we figured I drank you have to calculate if you've drank in the run, which I drank 17 fluid ounces in my run. I also peed on my run, and because I haven't been doing my sodium yet, and we kinda calculated that as maybe, like, 8 ounces. It wasn't a lot, but
Right.
typical pees are, like, 8 to, like, 11 ounces, like, if you're not peeing a lot. And then we did the calculation, shout out ChatGPT, uh, and it was showing that I lost about 1.1,
Yep, 1.1 liters
yeah,
of sweat.
of sweat, yeah, which is not bad. It's not crazy, it's not excessive.
Yeah, I mean, right there is the kind of what you're getting at when you're talking about healing your relationship with the scale. So, over the course of that 1 hour, you lost what, 2 pounds, 2 point something
I
pounds
lost 2 pounds exactly
in that
in 1
run,
hour, yeah,
including you drank 17 ounces of water.
mhm,
So, right there, obviously, you didn't lose 2 pounds of fat during your run,
yep,
right? So there's not weight loss coming from that run, it's just
mhm.
water weight.
Yeah, in fact, a friend of mine I was talking to about this, I was sharing with her all the data. She's a registered dietitian and she's also an ultra runner. She's been helping me understand this a little bit more. And she was sharing with me that when she is finished with her 100-mile races, she will have lost 12 pounds typically.
Wow.
12 pounds
Yeah.
and she races fast, so she's done in a day. And so in one
Right,
day she's
right.
losing 12 pounds.
That's wild.
So, and that is not all fat loss,
If any.
if any.
It's water weight.
Yeah, I mean, so she's trying to put the calories back in the whole time. She might, there's only so many calories you can really put back in. So maybe a little bit of it could be fat loss,
Sure.
but not 12 pounds of it.
Yeah,
But, that's
yeah.
a long stretch. But I think this is important for people to realize if you're looking at the scale and it just has all these fluctuations and especially if you're someone that, like, weighs yourself multiple times in a day, it's like, that's nonsense. It's not gonna help you at all.
Yeah.
If yes, the scale can help you see a trend of weight loss, but you've gotta do it the same time each week. You've gotta do it, like, first thing in the morning, naked, don't drink anything, or maybe after you have a poop or whatever, so you can have, like, the
Yeah, try to
same.
be consistent.
Yeah, you need consistency to understand, are you actually losing weight? Because we're all losing weight all day long and gaining weight all day long.
Yeah, I'll see a fluctuation of up to 8 pounds in any given day,
Wow.
just from eating,
Mhm.
drinking, going to the bathroom. Yeah, just I'll see it go up and down throughout the day. Just and I only did that because I was curious to see what is the fluctuation throughout the day.
Big poops.
That's right. Eat big,
Eat big, poop
poop
big.
big.
Yeah. But yeah, and then so it's just been doing all of this and understanding the body more, especially when it comes to sport, has just really just given me more of an intimate relationship to how to let go around all of that and how to really understand that I'm doing something so that I can perform my best and feel my best and recover
Right.
and give myself the strongest chance of finishing the hardest thing I've ever signed up for. And I'm not saying that our listeners have to sign up for an ultra marathon, but I think if you're somebody who works out, I think understanding the relationship between the fueling, the hydration, like everything that goes into just seeing how well you can feel during your workouts and recover from them so that you can enjoy them. I think there's a lot there that I try to encourage my clients to understand around proper fueling. I still have clients who are super resistant to wanting to fuel before they work out or take in nutrition after they work out. And I think there's the mentality of the calorie deficit, right? So it's like
Right.
trying to eat less in order to lose more, but not at the expense of that portion where we're trying to build muscle, increase strength and performance. We can create deficits elsewhere in life, but I don't think we wanna create them around the
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah, you're creating a deficit around your workout at the expense of having a good workout and feeling good in your workout and
Yeah.
enjoying your workout.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really hard, when I get feedback from people saying they had a shitty workout and, sometimes I just wanna be like, "I know why,"
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
a lot of it has to do with, like, the fueling, the hydration, Of course, sleep and those things matter too, but we have to fuel these workouts, and I know there's confusion for people around, "Well, I'm only doing, a short workout." It's like, it'll always help. You having some fuel will always help your
yeah.
workout. You'll feel so much stronger and, I'm here to support with that. If you guys have specific questions about what it is that you should be doing, reach out to me. It's a little because I don't wanna just, give general information on here about everybody should be doing X because that's not true. Like your
Right.
workout might look like this versus another listener's workout might look like that. Um, and I would need to understand that to be able to give more specific guidelines around fueling around the workout. But
Yeah.
just eat though,
Yeah.
give yourself something to work off of.
Well, I think, an anecdote and personal experience that I could share is when I was marathon training and lifting and doing lots of different things, all in one day, I would be starving at the end of it, and I wasn't feeling not nearly enough for the intensity level for what I was doing, uh, physically, and by the end of that workout, I'd be famished. I would wanna go eat 2 pizzas. I would wanna go just eat whatever was in sight and not be able to stop eating.
Mhm.
And one thing that I learned from a coach that has been really helpful and insightful is when you're doing these big workout days or any workout day, you should never come out of your workout feeling like you need to go eat immediately. You should be properly fueled prior to the workout or during the workout or both. So that way, when you come out of that workout, you're not necessarily, I need to go eat everything in sight. So that idea of coming out of the workout and being able to just eat a normal lunch or a normal meal or whatever it is, and not feel like you need to eat everything on the table has
Yeah.
been really big for me.
And that's challenging for people, and that was for me as well in the past, like gorging yourself and then feeling like, "Oh, well, I just kinda did all that work, and then I just whatever I burned, I just ate like 4 times the amount of that."
Right,
Right?
right.
So then you're really out of energy balance, like,
Yeah.
the pendulum has really swung.
And then you work out hard the next day, and then the cycle repeats.
Yeah. So, eating enough and fueling yourself for the workout and in the workout too, if you're doing longer workouts, if you're going past 90 minutes,
Yeah.
really helps so much. In any given workout for me, I'm eating 1,000 plus calories while I'm training.
Yeah.
So when I'm done with my training session, I'm like, okay, I have to eat, but I'm not like starving like you were saying. It's actually been a struggle lately because I feel so fueled and I'm not hungry and I'm like forcing myself to eat because I'm at the point where I have to eat a lot more as we are a month out from the race. I'm trying to really get in as much as I can to just make sure that I'm teaching my body how to take in this many carbohydrates because I'm going to really need to take in a ton during the race. And it's actually been a bit of a struggle for me. I'm not used to not wanting to eat because I've always been somebody that like can't wait to eat. So this is like a new phenomenon
Yeah.
for me. But, going back to healing my relationship with not just the scale, but with food in general, this process has really healed my relationship even more with food of like how I even still was labeling food in my mind of like healthy food or unhealthy food.
Mm.
Um,
Good or bad.
yeah. And I mean, there's levels to this because I feel like I was in a really good spot with this but But then, like, we kinda kid ourselves in a way, like, I was in a certain spot that was good, that was better than it used to be, but there was still a lot of food noise and things that I was just used to and normalized for myself
Mm.
around what I thought was like, I was allowed to have as me, as this
Yeah, yeah,
person
yeah.
in my field who
I
does what
don't
I
get a
do.
sandwich, I get a salad.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly, like, "Oh,
Or
that's weird to order the sandwich," like you're saying. I ordered a salad with, like, a slice of bread on the side, kinda thing, just
yeah.
I think we have all these kinda weird mind games, mental gymnastics that we play with ourselves just based on what you were brought up with, what you've surrounded yourself with. Social media doesn't help too, and so as I'm in this more athlete community and everybody's like, carbs are life, and we're eating, candy and we're eating, you know, anything that's going to give us more carbs. And we're not eating like all the high fiber healthy carbs because those carbs could actually be hindering your
Yeah,
performance,
they take
right?
too much energy to break down.
So I'm in a whole new world now of thinking about nutrition for athletics. And I still think to myself, like, how healthy is it for everyone to be eating candy and stuff? But then it's like, well, but we're trying to use it for something, so it's
Yeah.
okay. And so I just bring that up to let people know, like, it is a very complicated thing, food and our relationship to it, and how we feel about what we're allowed to partake in versus other people. And so I've been really leaning into doing things I've never done before with
Yeah.
food. And, putting extra carbs on everything. And yesterday eating just a bagel in the middle of the day
Mm.
and
Yeah.
putting jam on my protein pudding today because I was like, that's not enough carbohydrates for my run. So I'm like, okay, I need to put like 2 tablespoons of jam to get 20 more carbohydrates. And in the past, a lot of my eating was always thought it was more thinking of kind of like you were saying, what's the least I can get away with? Still
Mhm.
fuel my performance, but always kind of be either in a deficit or really close to just
Right on the
maintenance
edge.
to
Yeah.
the edge so that I maintain a certain physique. And I wasn't really worried about how fast I could run, how long I could run. I could get through my workout classes just fine. But I'm thinking back and I'm like, wow, I really limited my potential a lot of how much better I could have felt.
Yeah. I think there's a big mindset shift here that I'm observing, that it's less about what do I look like and what does my body look like, and more about what can my body do?
And
What
how
can
does
my
it
body
feel?
accomplish and how can it feel? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's really what I've been more focused on. Yes, what I can do, but I'm also, like, not delusional that I'm gonna, like, do this race, like, crazy good. Because
Well, I mean,
'cause
just finishing the race is crazy good, just so
yeah,
you know.
thank you for reminding me of that. Yes, yes, thank you. But I think feeling is more what I'm going off because I don't
Yeah,
wanna feel like shit
right.
during my training, and I really am hoping not to feel like shit during the race, and these kinds of events, how many YouTube videos have I watched where it's like everybody ends up in the well at some point, and I
Yeah.
know that sometimes
You're
it's
gonna have a low
unavoidable.
point, but, hopefully it's not because of nutrition
Yeah,
and hydration.
exactly. Hopefully, it's
Yeah.
not because of that, so I'm trying to get that down because that's such a big piece to why people feel
Yeah.
like crap.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's been really wonderful to just let go of some of those old habits and stories that I've told myself that linger, and it's an ever evolving thing. I don't know how I'm going to feel when this is over and I'm not training for this anymore. Will I go back to having some of those restrictive thoughts in food? I think I just have a more balanced mindset with all of this and understanding of what you truly need to support your body.
Yeah, I think you're just in the case of carbs, your carb intake can go down because you won't need to be fueling and storing glycogen as much. You'll
Mhm.
still be working out, but it won't be as much. You don't need to top up as often. So I think it can come back to a little bit more balance. But at the same time, maybe and hopefully there's a little bit less of that noise and little less of that anxiety around certain types of things, uh, because you've basically done exposure therapy on carbs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think that I'm kinda kicking myself a little bit for not increasing my carbs back in the winter when we were building muscle. I coulda built more, because you really need
Mm,
to make sure you're eating enough if you're trying to build muscle, so, that's actually what I'm not probably not gonna drop my carbs down that much
it's a good
because
point.
when I get off of this, I'm gonna go back to hitting the weights
Yeah.
pretty hard because I just love strength training, and I feel like it really helps as an athlete to be well-rounded and to minimize risk of injury, and as we're getting older, I'm going in towards perimenopause, as I get
Yeah.
towards my later 30s, and so strength training is, like, a key thing to feeling healthy for me, and I wanna make sure that I'm eating enough carbohydrates to allow that strength training to actually take effect and build muscle, and, there's so much talk about protein, and yeah, we're all for making sure you're eating enough protein, but I don't think that, especially with muscle building, carbs are talked about a lot, and we need those in order to actually make those muscles grow too.
Yeah, we need a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
Carbs, fat,
Protein,
protein.
all of it.
It all factors in.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to touch on, and it's a really interesting idea, is that a lot of times people, when they first, let's say they've been on a low carb diet for a long time, and they start to reintroduce some more carbs, what typically happens is it feels like, oh my gosh, I've started eating more carbs and all of a sudden I've gained all this weight.
Mhm.
Why what have we learned that I think is really helpful to know?
Yeah, I mean, carbs store water, so
Yeah.
it's just water weight,
So
and that's why when people go on low carb, they instantly lose so much weight because
yeah, over
you
the course of a weekend.
yeah, you're, "Oh my god, I lost 5 pounds. Low carb is clutch, like, low carb is life," and it's like, really, you just lost water weight, like, nothing
Right,
happened. You
right.
didn't lose any body fat.
So what happens is your body, when you take in carbs, turns it into glycogen, which is a usable form of energy for your muscles. So for each gram of glycogen that you've stored and are ready to use in your workout, you're also going to store 3 to 4 grams of water. So if your body can hold anywhere from 3 to 500 grams of glycogen at any given moment in your muscles. So if you've gone from completely depleted, no glycogen in your muscles, and also, by the way, no energy, it's very difficult because you're on fat oxidation for working out. um, when you start to replenish those glycogen stores, let's say you replenish 300 grams of glycogen, that's 2 pounds of weight.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be going into my race the heaviest
Yeah.
that I've been probably, right? Like, because
Yeah,
I'm going to be
probably.
so carb
You're gonna
loaded.
be carb loaded, you're gonna be topped up on glycogen, you're gonna
Yeah.
be topped up liquid hydration.
Yeah.
The last thing you wanna do is to go into the starting line being 98% hydrated. You need to be 100% hydrated to run 100 miles.
Yeah, exactly. So just another reason why the scale can't bring me down. It doesn't. I mean,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
but I think that's also very important to remember for people who are, maybe just getting into they've been on low carb life for a long time and,
Mhm.
they're looking to fuel their workouts a little bit better, looking to fuel life a little bit better and just feel a little bit more balanced,
Yeah, great
that there
point.
is a little bit of weight gain that's going to happen and that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mackie, because we do get a lot of people who come to us saying, "I don't think I'm nourishing myself enough."
Right.
I have a client today actually, and she was starting to increase her workouts, and she loves long distance cycling, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Hey, we need to talk about how I fuel for these rides because I'm like starting to go out there and do 2 hour ride, 3 hour ride a couple times a week, and then I'm strength training." So she's working out quite a bit. And she's like, I need to understand what do I need now that I'm doing this, which I love that she asked me that because, she's like, I want to feel as strong as I can on this.
Yeah.
And yeah, as she's going to be increasing those carbohydrates because she hasn't, had many in her diet. I know she was a little more on that low carb train. She's going to have to understand that the scale's going to go up, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, a lot of clients will say, "Oh, well, I must be gaining muscle. The scale's going up." We don't know. And I hate to say this, like, I love
Yeah.
you all, and I hope you're all gaining muscle, but, the
You're getting
scale
stronger, so
yeah,
there is evidence.
yes.
There
I
is evidence.
That brings me to my next point about,
Yeah.
like, the things that we really I'm talking about feeling good and using that as a measure and feeling good in my workouts, but I think just focusing on goals that have nothing to do with the way your body looks and just let your body get into whatever physique it needs to do the thing that you want to do, right? Now, if you have a lot of weight to lose and you have health concerns because of it, then we might focus on that a little bit more. But I think, you know, it can take care of itself if you start creating some more performance-based goals
Yeah.
and or fun goals around fitness that you like to do. I was listening to an interview with Adam Sandler and he's like, "Look, I'm not a ripped guy. Like I don't want to really take my shirt off over here." I think he's probably in his like late 50s or 60 by now. He's like, "But he's not overweight." And he's like,
Right.
"I hate exercise, but I love playing basketball and I play basketball 4 to 5 times per week and it's like multiple hours of me playing a game and running around
Yeah.
and sweating. He's getting tons of cardio,
I
right?"
love that he hates exercise, but he's exercising 5, 6 hours a week.
Yeah, but to him, that game
Yeah.
is an
Yeah,
exercise,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we have friends pickleball, right? Becomes
Yeah.
like something they absolutely love and are doing that like, hours a week or, I have a client who plays tennis, loves tennis. So I think also finding activities that you enjoy that don't have to feel like exercise can be a really great way.
And bonus points if you can make it social in some way. If there's a, let's say, running club or pickleball is another great example, right? Where you can
Mhm.
not only get your activity in, your movement in, but also your socialization and community
Mhm.
built up as well.
Yeah. So I think just thinking about goals that are beyond just physique goals, they're really not
Yeah.
that motivating. So,
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
I've heard so many times when people hit their weight goal or whatever goal that they want to hit, body fat percentage goal, and it's like, okay, cool, I got here. Now what?
yeah, because there's like an internal confidence that is not built from that. That's external confidence. That's fleeting confidence to look good, with your shirt off or, in a certain outfit, that's all fine and well, but that's kind of a very fleeting moment of like, "Okay,
It's fleeting,
cool,
yeah.
like, I feel good about myself," and maybe you do walk with a little extra pep in your step because of how you look, but then you're missing real intrinsic confidence.
Yeah, and you feel good about yourself, but it's also kind of relying on other people's validation of that, right? Like, "Oh,
Yep.
I look good in this shirt," but you don't really necessarily care that you look good in the shirt. You want other people to see you look good in the shirt.
Fair point. Yeah, I think that's an important distinction too. If you ask yourself like the why behind why you want to lose weight, I've asked people this, like get down to the real reason why, and it's oftentimes doesn't have to do with them. It has to do with but then the world will look at me, I'll feel more seen, I'll have more opportunities because there's definitely this link between like thinness in our culture and opportunity.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of based on like Hollywood and the media and controlling that narrative. What I love about the athletic world, and you could see this in the Olympics,
Mm.
is it has nothing to do with their physique. Their physique
Right.
is a product of whatever their sport is, and there are
Yeah.
lots of different kinds of body types, and that their confidence comes from, "Look what I can fucking do."
Yeah, look at the weightlifters compared even within the same sport, weightlifters that are on the lower end of the weight classes to the upper end of the weight classes, you see a huge variation. But something like track and field, where you've got sprinters who are very muscular and very built versus more long distance runners who are a little bit who have less muscle typically, versus the shot putters who are the most muscular people you could ever find.
Yeah.
Right? So there's this huge variation, and they're all doing very specialized things.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we all have a body type that we're born with. If you go out into the world and you look at people, no one looks the same, right? There's all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And that's not something that many of us can really change for the most part. Like your hips are going to be the hip width of your hips. Your shoulders are going to be the width of your
Mhm.
shoulders, right? There's certain elements to your body like Mackie's legs are so muscular naturally. Even when you were younger, like you've got these beautiful big ass calf muscles,
Yeah.
right? And your height is your height. You're not going to grow.
Right.
Right? Same for me, like, my leg length is my leg length. These are my short, little, gimpy legs I got over here. And we have to just learn to love what we have and to see, like, what can our body do for us? And we might be really good at something, right? Like, I know that I'm really strong at climbing. When I'm on those hills, like, that's my strong suit. I've
Yeah.
got thick legs and thick ass and that big ass I have is, like, driving me up the mountain,
Mhm.
and I feel so powerful and strong, and so instead of looking down and being like, "God, I wish my legs were skinnier," it's like, "Hell yeah, let's go." Like, these legs are doing this because they look like this, they can do this for me.
Right. Right.
And I think that we need to celebrate that more and really, like, think about, "Okay, what can my body do?" You know? Maybe you have really long legs. Try running. I don't know. You might like be really good at it. I was been
Yeah.
trying to tell my brother that for years.
What is the power walking?
Power walking? Oh,
Yeah, you can
yeah.
go really far with long legs
Yeah,
without
definitely.
having to go into a run.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying let's all like identify our bodies and be like, "Oh, you look like a gymnast. Go get on a
Right, right.
bar. You look like a runner. Go run." But I'm
Yeah,
just
do what
saying
makes you
like,
feel good. Do what makes
yes,
you have fun.
but look at your body and celebrate what it can do
Yeah.
instead of thinking, "Oh, I wish that, it was just smaller." And just think about what's a goal that I can set that I can see if my body can take me there, right? Can it take me on a 1 mile run for the first time? Can it take me through an indoor cycling class I've never tried before? Right? These bodies are meant to be used every single day. And it will make you feel so good to keep allowing your body to do what it's meant to do, which is move you through the world in
Yeah.
all different ways. And the endorphins that you get, I mean, all the things, right? And so that's just kind of what I wanted to share today is my relationship to the scale, to food, it's changed so much over the course of the last 6 months even. A new level of healing with it because I have done something that has nothing to do with my physique.
Yeah.
This isn't bodybuilding, this is endurance, it's different.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else you wanna share, Mackie? I've got a client in 15 minutes.
No, I think we've covered it. I don't know if anybody has any questions, definitely comment if you're on Spotify or YouTube. And yeah,
Like and subscribe to the YouTube, Ultra Life Co. Um, yeah, rate, review the podcast,
always helps.
and reach out if you guys wanna chit chat about anything. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.